The NFL should be investigated for collusion. There's no way this kid went in the 5th round because he's not good enough. We've been gaslit for way too long. This dude is special. Now that the dust has settled a little bit, let's have a real conversation about Shedeur Sanders.
They're down at 8. Here comes the pressure. Running away from it is Sanders. He's looking long. He's got a man. Caught at the 10-yard line. Bonds.
He's not the next Tom Brady. He's also not going to be a bust, so if you're hoping for that, don't hold your breath. What he is a solid rookie quarterback looking to develop and become a franchise quarterback, and it's a good chance he could do that, but I worry if Cleveland is the place for that to happen. Before we proceed, I ask that we all take a step back and just watch. You're going to have people from both sides going crazy online, praying for extreme prosperity and extreme downfall, and the truth is often found somewhere in the middle. With 3 games under his belt and outplaying the #1 pick despite the loss, there's no better time to discuss this bizarre situation. I guess one could say it's perfect timing.
They told me bust out my AP, perfect timing. Got them baguettes up on my nigga, stay shining. It's never hot around my jewelry, chase a climbing. I went and got that new Maybach, I stayed grinding.
Let's not waste no time. The Browns-Titans game. The whole first half, Shedeur and the offense looked the most alive they've been all season. In those 2 quarters, he went 9 for 14, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, 147 passer rating. A great way to set the tone for a tight 17-14 game. Then in the 3rd quarter, they couldn't get nothing going. 4 punts and a pick from Shedeur, forcing a bad ball. But come the 4th, that Sanders clutch gene kicked in. He tacked on 2 more TDs through the air and the ground. And since he scored another goal line pass touchdown earlier, down 2 with the game on the line, Stefanski kept him out there for the 2-point conversion. Shedeur threw a great pass and tied the game to force OT. Oh wait, that's not what happened? It says here that they took him off the field to run Wildcat and failed the 2-point conversion to lose the game? Yeah, my bad. I was imagining what the Browns could have done with competent coaching and a little bit of common sense. Shame on me for assuming they had that. But back to Shedeur. He showed up big against a friend and a draft class rival, a guy he'll be compared with for the rest of his career. He was pressured on 51% of his dropbacks and hit, hurried, and blitzed the most he's ever been in the NFL. He had the 2nd most time to throw on the week at 3.57, ahead of Lamar and Stroud and only behind Caleb Williams. Now this can be a positive or a negative depending on the full circumstances. Time to throw can be tricky to evaluate solo because you don't know if your O-line is blocking well or not, since some QBs have a quick release and others scramble and extend plays with their legs. You need other surrounding metrics to tell the full picture. But paired with those earlier pressure numbers, that tells me he was extending plays to make something out of nothing. And despite all that, he finished 23 for 42, 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 97.7 passer rate, his best yet. And don't forget his 3 rushes for 29 yards and a tud on the ground. He did everything he could to win this game for his team. It's unfortunate his coaches work for FanDuel, but at least he secured the starting role for the rest of the season. This is a massive moment for his career. We already knew he was like that, but now the doubters get to see who he really is.
You selling the tickets. You selling the motherfucking tickets. Keep going, bro.
The NFL is not a stats league like the NBA. Football is dramatized in the best way possible. We love it for the stories. The Browns have a historically losing culture. You need something for the players and fans to root for. Shedeur's got the moxie and aura of a Cam Newton, but the calm confidence of a Joe Burrow. He has an entire community ready to wear his jerseys and rock with him, regardless of their own favorite teams.
I've been off the shit since Kaepernick. Yeah. I'm probably back.
Yeah.
Motherfucking go, 12.
Most of us ain't even surprised. If you had even an ounce of awareness, you would have seen why Shedeur should have been the starter. It's been a minute, so let me remind us all who this kid really is. A QB who at the HBCU level walked away with a 23-3 record, winning 2 SWAC championships and other awards like the Jerry Rice Award, SWAC Freshman of the Year, SWAC Offensive Player of the Year, and Deacon Jones Award, which is like the HBCU Heisman, securing Jackson State records for season passing touchdowns and completions. But that's just HBCUs, right? He'd never be this good in the FBS. Wrong. Despite that competition bump to the Big 12, he still beat many expectations. Shedeur had the highest completion percentage in all of college football last year. He was top 5 in all major categories as a passer, 4th in passing yards, 2nd in touchdowns, 4th in yards per game, and 5th in passer rate. Tack on a couple more achievements like the 2024 Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, first team All Big 12, and Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. He broke single season records at Colorado for passing yards and passing touchdowns. He has the overall NCAA record for the highest career completion percentage. #1 out of every college quarterback ever. Now, some context is needed for this. He only played 2 years at the FBS level, so he benefits from having less games played to possibly miss more passes. therefore lowering his percentage. Felt that was needed to say. A huge criticism of Shedeur is the amount of sacks he's taken, with 52 in only 11 games last year. We'll see long term if this transitions into the NFL with him. Shedeur is the first quarterback drafted out of Colorado since 1997. He's responsible for the first time 3 Colorado wide receivers were selected in the same draft ever, and as you know by now, the first Browns QB to win his debut since 1995. Sounds like his resume is already legendary to me. There's no franchise more historically dysfunctional than the Cleveland Browns. You have a head coach who got his preferred pick in the 3rd round, a GM who got his in the 5th, and they're in a chess match against each other, using their QBs as the pawns. To anybody who feels I'm being unfair to Stefanski and his judgment, listen to this and you tell me if I'm just making this up. He refused to say Shedeur's names in press conferences until about 2 weeks ago. He didn't give Shedeur first team reps as the QB2, but behind Flacco earlier this year, he gave him to Gabriel.
You decided to make Joe the backup and not Shedeur.
Yeah, Joe's the backup.
Is Dillon taking any reps with the ones in the first?
Yes.
Even though he swears he's all about developing both of these quarterbacks. He gave out about 8 game balls between the last 2 wins that the Browns had. This game, he gives 1. He shouted out everyone's accomplishments, including the punter, and gave Shedeur a well done.
How about Gage's big punt return on special teams? How about Corey? Every single time you're out there pinning those guys doing your job. Great job. Offense wasn't perfect. How about that big play by Sam at the end? IB, huge play. Huge play. Harold making a big play. And then another rookie making his first start. Nice job, Shedeur. Well done.
If that's not telling, I don't know what is. Anytime Shedeur is on camera, he's all smiles, and players from all teams love him. But notice his demeanor around Kevin. It seems like everybody's in his corner except his own coach. And maybe it's an upstairs call. It's possible team owner Jimmy Haslam doesn't want Kevin to play Shedeur for whatever reason. And maybe he's using his grandson's wearing Shedeur's jersey as a diversion. But that's a bit of a conspiracy theory, so I'm gonna leave that there. Okay, now to this Raiders game. Was it perfect for Shedeur? Nah, not at all. But he made the right plays at the right times. 11 for 20, 209 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But you can't stat watch this type of game. He had the 2 great deep throws, one to Judy who fumbled, and the other one to Isaiah Bond. Then he had the screen pass that went for that long touchdown to Samson. He was put on the sideline in both of the red zone opportunities, which could have potentially been 2 more touchdowns. But I'm actually more impressed with what he didn't do this game. He was decisive with the football and willing to throw it away when nothing was there. That was his biggest knock in college. Fans felt he was too passive so he could stat pad. So for him to risk his completion percentage on the biggest stage of his NFL career, that tells me all he cares about is winning football games, and that's a guy you want leading your team. Alright, now to the Niners game. Game plan was a lot more conservative, and based on the weather, that was the correct way to go. He finished 16 for 25, 149 yards, 1 tud, no picks, 64% completion percentage. He did a pretty good job of taking care of the football with no turnovers. And shout out to Harold Fannin on that big rack effort to get Shedeur that touchdown. He took 3 sacks, which is not a lot, but it's something he'll need to watch. Don't give critics something to grasp at, because trust me, they will. These teams aren't close as far as the roster goes, so no one really expected a win. And with really windy weather, all 3 punts muffed by the Browns, there was no climbing out of this hole against a playoff team. I'd give him a C+ on this game. I personally love Shedeur's story. For years, we only highlighted black people from poverty when it came to sports come-up stories. But his is one of black wealth, a story for the black suburb kids that parents did right by them, focused on the next generation of kids from those hood come-up stories that the media loves. A privileged kid with a Hall of Fame and cultural icon as a father, only ever coached by said father Deion Sanders, but still won at every level. And because of the flashy success of his pops, they tried to dim his light. They said about every subtle word without saying what they really want to say.
Too loud, too reckless, too ghetto.
And in society, we have a weird obsession with getting it out the mud and are so infatuated with humbleness that we demonize confidence. And we inconsistent on who we don't like confidence in, but that's for another discussion. And since Shedeur is a self-assured, well-off dude, adversity was forced upon him. But one thing about them Sanders, you can't shake them with no adversity. He rose from 4th on the depth chart as a 5th round pick with 1st round talent, with a coach who clearly didn't want him, to being thrust into the starting lineup with no preparation, and when given a chance, seized that opportunity and brought life back into the Cleveland franchise. Now this ain't no ride off into the sunset. He still got work to do. Let's see what Showtime Sanders got in store for us, because this is just the beginning.
What do you hope to show against this Raiders defense, your teammates, yourself, and these Browns fans with their play today?
I'm who they've been looking for. Appreciate it. Off of 1 week of practice, you know what I mean? This 1 week of practice. So imagine, you know what a full offseason look like. It get dangerous. There's no choices, no question. Nobody cares if this was 1 week of prep. Who cares? You know? So a lot of people want to see me fail, and that ain't gonna happen.